Good morning, cubies and newbies. I am Sunshine, and I created the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes. Works on every size Rubik's Cube, 2x2 through n by n, 2x2 through n by n by n, and only uses formula A, formula B. No, that's all you have to learn. No memorizing many algorithms and which algorithms does which thing and which order to do the algorithms. You don't have to do any of that, because formula A brings a color to the top and formula B moves 3 pieces around, and that's all you ever need to do for every Rubik's Cube. Parodies can be undone by a quarter turn. Parodies are a lie. I will explain that whenever anybody asks me a question or we get to that point. And yes, it works on every size Rubik's Cube. You hold the cube as if it were hold the cube and look at the front of the cube as if it were a spreadsheet with rows and columns, and you look at your formula, and those arrows represent the single layers that you turn in order to do what you want to do. Formula A, for instance, will bring a color to the top. If you use it on the bottom row and the right column, then it interchanges these two cubes and twists them as you do. It does a bunch of other stuff, but because we always work we always work in groups that leave the bottom alone and only affect the pieces that you want to move. Formula B then moves 3 pieces around. For an example, if I'm want to move the absolute center, then this is the row that I use and this is the column that I use. So out, down, in, up, and formula A affects all of the sides. If you're so you only use A to bring the color to the top, or to for the absolute corners to the top, and absolute center is all I use it for. So for anything that you do to the cube, if you do enough times, you get back to solve. So I'm going to do formula A on this again. Out, down, in, up, and again, out, down, in, up. And the colors that it twists are the front right top. The absolute center is a single piece inside. Okay. If you've just joined me, I am Sunshine. Thank you for joining me, coming to play with me while I play with my cubes. Formula A brings the color to the top. Formula B moves 3 pieces around. And if you look at formula B, it's 8 moves. For every other move is a horizontal. Every other horizontal is the one before it. Read it like a book. There, first row, then second row, and that's all you need to do. Because if you use the top row and the outside columns, like so, then it moves 3 corners around. If you apply it to outside column and an inside column, then it will move. This is the first column, this is the second column. It will move this edge piece up, down, down, and it moved these 3 pieces around. And if you apply it to 2 inner columns, like this one, for example, if I want to move that will move this piece to the top. So line it up so that's advantageous. Then we go up, slide to a different column, up, slide back, and back. So slide up, slide down, slide down. And if you do it to the corners, to the outside edges, you move corners. Outside, inside column, it moves edges, and 2 inner columns, and it moves centers. So that's what formula B does. And that's all you're ever going to need to do on these cubes is move a piece to the top or move 3 pieces around. because there's always because of the mathematics of the cube, there's always going to be 3 pieces to move around. 3 or more. Good morning. So I did the corners on this one yesterday, and then I got distracted working with my minks. Let me show you my minks. I said that A and B works on the minks as well. I gotta brag here. I showed you that. Okay, so formula B can be used on this as well. But if the second column up is the centerpiece, then it's going to have unintended consequences. So when you're placing the edge pieces, the absolute edge pieces, or the other star pieces, it's going to move more than just your 3 pieces. So order of operations on this is to do these absolute edge pieces first, because that moves the most pieces around unintendedly, and then you do the fill in the rest of the star. And once you've gotten to this, then everything else, formula B, anything else I apply to formula B formula B is not going to mess anything up. So formula B from this point forward, whether if I'm working on a side edge or a corner, is always going to move exactly 3 pieces and only 3 pieces around. So if I had solved most of the cube and then I worked on an absolute edge piece, I would have to reset some of my things. So by doing the star first, the edges, absolute edges, and then the star first, from this point forward, you can just apply formula B to this cube, formula A and B to this cube, and this minks, and you'll be able to solve it without any unintended consequences. So that's that. Formula A and B works on the minxes as well. So we did these corners. Let's go here and do these corners. Edges. Corners? I know words. My cat is distracting me. Anyone have any exciting? I said I was going to be moving the end of the week. That is not happening because I started taking some stuff over and discovered that my basement room was flooded. So they had to they have to tear apart the roof and fix the leak before I can move in. So plans change, don't they? But lucky that it happened before I moved in, because none of my stuff got hurt. So, and none of her stuff got hurt because there was nothing there. So, all right. So, corners. Let's work here. Here's 2 yellows. I don't want them together. Let's scramble it. I didn't scramble it well enough. I was going to just say, here's 2 conveniently together. Let's use them. No. Scramble it. Okay. I always tell my students that when they make a mistake, it's like, you just did the hardest part all by yourself, because scrambling it is the hardest part, and then that just gives you more opportunity to practice. And I'm like, and they're like, yeah, haha, you're just teasing me, and I'm like, no, literally, the scrambling is the hardest part, because when you're new, you're like, but I don't want to mess it up. I like what I did. I don't want to mess it up. Tell me what's next. And so whenever I'm teaching, it's like, oh, you did the corners. Great. Now do it on this cube. Now do it on this cube. Now do it on this cube. And we just, for the first session, we just only do corners until they're really comfortable with corners. They're like, I can do it. And I'm like, now that is all you need to know for all the rest of the cube, because everything else is still just A and B. A is for the absolute center and B is for everything else. So then, like I said, by the end of 2 sessions, everyone can walk away. I have never yet had someone without walking away knowing that they can pick up any size cube and put it down solved. This is not a speed method. It is certainly not the fewest moves method, but I believe it's the simplest method to learn. And someone called me on that yesterday on Facebook. They're like, no, there's another method. There's another beginner's method that just uses the sexy move and the sledgehammer, and it's easier than yours, and yours is not the newest, blah, blah, blah. And so I said, okay, fine. If there is a newer method, a method newer than 2020, that will solve the 5x5 with just 2 methods. I would love to see the link to that. Otherwise, I think this is the easiest. So, I gotta be nice. All right, I was working on this one. This guy goes to 11. Is that now by any chance? Is 11 by any chance your average on solving the 3x3? Because that would be awesome. The guy that sold me the computer so I could start streaming, when he learned I was going to do cubing on it, he said, "Oh, how fast are you?" Which is what everybody asks. 10 point close. So under 11, sub 11. But, oh, okay. Well, that was convenient then. But he said, "Oh yeah, I can solve the cube, and I'm got 11 seconds." I'm like, super, that's great. Anything that is faster than my eyes can follow is just magic to me. And people who can just pick it up and go and put it down, I'm just like, you are magic. But again, this I'm Sunshine, and I created this method for solving the Rubik's cubes. Works on every size cube, including with a couple of adaptations, the Whittian 3x3x9 that I've somehow put away already, and also it works on this cube, on the Minxes as well. Just A and B is all you need. I'm stoked with new methods, though. Hopefully we can move away from sexy move. It makes it hard to, because you call it, okay, well, my formula A is actually the inverse. I think it's the inverse of the sexy move, but yes. Oh, sorry, that's not the cube. I thought I had it by hand. I'm getting confused. Okay, so formula A brings your active color to the top. Formula B moves 3 pieces around. That's all you need to do. Let me demonstrate. I start with yellow because all of my cubes have yellow, and not all of them have white, and yellow is always up. Some of them have black, some of them have smooth move. Haha. Okay. All right. So I do the corners first because every cube has the 8 corners. No matter which cube you have, you can start with the 8 corners, and I teach all of the cubes the exact same way, and it works on every n by n cube. So working on the corners, I'll start with this one. You can do color neutral. I however, I usually use yellow because when I was creating the method, oops, these are too all close together. Someone said, "No, you have to tell them what to do," because I teach absolutely brand new beginners. First comp. Oh, you're taking your boy to his first competition? Oh, how exciting. How exciting. Okay, so I have a cube that has yellow on it, so I'm going to start with this cube. I do the corners first, so I'm ignoring everything but the corners. Okay, so this cube, because I selected this cube is correct, and I'm going to make all the rest of the cube match it because I am all powerful, and this is the one I selected. So my yellow's on top. I'm going to bring all the other yellows to the top. So I look at this corner and I see, is there a yellow somewhere on this corner? And the answer is yes. But if it wasn't, I would look below this corner to see if there was a yellow somewhere on this corner. So as long as there is a yellow on one of these 2 corners, formula A is going to bring it to the top. So formula A, hold the cube, look at the face of the cube as if it is columns, rows and columns in a spreadsheet, and those arrows indicate which slice of the cube you're going to move. For the A, it's 1 row and 1 column, and because I usually use A for the corners, that's the bottom row and the right-hand column. So if you follow along, so since these cubes are the ones that are going to be switched, I move this piece away from the action. I move the space it wants to be in down. I move the cube into the space, and the cube in the space up. And I look at it again. Is my yellow on top? Not yet, so I keep going. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. Keep going until my yellow is on top. And when it's on top, I slide it out of the way to protect it, top row, and I work on this piece. So is there a yellow somewhere on this piece? No. Somewhere on one of these 2 pieces? Yes. So formula A will bring the yellow to the top. Out, down, in, up, until it comes to the top. It'll be less than 5 or less. When it's on top, I slide it out of the way to protect it and keep going, and now I'm working on this cube, QB. And there's a yellow, so formula A is going to bring it to the top. So out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up, and the yellow's on top. That's the first step. So once your yellow is on top, we're only looking at the corners. We're still only looking at the corners, but we were only looking at one color, but each cube has 3 colors. So we look at the sides of the cubes to see if they match. We don't get confused. We're ignoring the corners, the edges and the centers. We're only looking at the corners. Corners are all that exist. So red does not equal green. At this point, when we're looking for either all of the sides will match, or none of them will match, or one of them will match. You can never have anything else. You can't have 2 sides that match, or 3. It has to be, unless you've taken stickers off. How fun! All right, so red does not equal green, but orange equals orange. So that is my one side that matches. I put that away from me. Headlights facing outward as I'm driving the car. Excuse me. Spinal tap. Okay. All right. So I hold the cube. Matching corners for facing away. Formula B is 1 row and 2 columns. The row is always the top row, and the 2 columns. Well, when we're working on the corners, these 2 columns are the outside columns. So slide up, slide up, slide down, and we just moved 3 cubes around. Then formula A will bring my yellow back to the top. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. Slide to protect it. Keep going. Slide to protect it. Keep going. We're about to be invaded by a cat. Okay, so now when my yellow's back on top here. Hi, kitty. You're just passing through, I see. Okay. So when the yellows are on top, but now the corners match. So these first 4 corners are correct to each other. Okay. Cat. Yeah. Yes, cat. Maybe she will come back. Cat. All right. So my yellows are now happy to each other. So I'm going to put them face down, and I'm going to abandon them. I'm going to ignore them, and I'm going to work on the second 4 corners. I have to determine which color is opposite yellow, which on standardized cubes is white, but not all cubes are standard colors. So I check to make sure, and yes, indeed, there is a white on all of my corners. If there was not, it would be a corner color that is not touching my yellows. So we've got a white. So this one's already up. This one's already up. So let's start with this one. Formula A is going to bring it to the top. When it's on top, I slide the top to protect it. I don't rotate the cube. I only rotate the top row because I want to protect my abandoned yellows. So this one needs to be affected. I keep doing formula A until until my color comes to the top. There. So check to see my yellows are still happy. My white's on top. And now I checked the corners to see if they match. Again, either they all will, none of them will, or one side will match. These ones don't match, these ones don't match, these ones. So none of them match. So because none of them match, it doesn't matter which way I hold the cube to begin. I'm going to do formula A, and then A to bring it to the top again. And this time one side will match, and that will tell me which direction to hold the cube. Okay, so slide the top first up, reverse the top second up, slide the top first down, reverse the top second down. Okay, and then A will bring my yellows are still happy. They didn't get hurt. A will bring my whites to the top again. There it is. When it's on top, I slide it out of the way to protect it, and I keep going. Keep doing formula A. Slide it out of the way to keep going. Keep doing formula A. And when my white comes to the top again, then this time when I check my corners, one of them will match. And it happens to be the blue. So I hold the cube facing away from me. And again, I do formula B, up, up, down, down. Bring A back to the top. Slide the top to protect it, keep going. Slide the top to protect it, keep going. And now, my second four corners are correct to each other. My first four corners are still correct to each other. So all I have to do now is rotate the top by quarter turns until the top and bottom are correct to each other, and boom. These 8 corners are now correct to each other, and on a 2x2, that would be solved. And on every other cube, that dictates what color each face is going to be. So, So, question. Question time. Give me your input. Should I keep work? I usually do all of the corners. I do the corners on all of my cubes before I proceed, because that's how I teach people when I'm in real life. So I wonder if those commutators would work no matter the 2 faces. Looks like it would. A and B is all. A and B is all you need. A brings your color to the top. B does everything else, and because that's all you need for every cube. This method completely does away with parodies. Parodies are a lie. You never have to deal with a parody algorithm ever again. Unless you wanna, because you're into speed, because this is not the fastest, like I said. So these corners are correct to each other, these corners are correct to each other. I can move on to the next step where I can continue doing corners. I usually do all of the corners on all of my cubes because it really bothers me when people just take a cube, tutorial, and then they just scram it. Would you like me to cover parodies? There is a way to, this does away with parodies. I never use a parody algorithm again. It doesn't matter what the parody looks like. I can talk about parodies now, or I can continue doing corners. What do you want me to do? Up to you, this guy. Up to me? Okay. All right. Then I'm going to talk about parodies. I'm going to talk about parodies. A parody. All right, I'm going to fix this cube and I'm going to give it a parody. All right, so. All right, so we already knew that corners were done. Okay, so I'm going to do my corners again. Because if you do it 3 times, you're back to solved. Okay, corners. Edges. And my center. Let's give it back to solved. So I can create a parody and show you how to solve it. Parody, because it doesn't matter what the parody looks like. A parody can be a parody is where it looks like you only have 2 pieces that need to be swapped. Not they're in the right place, but they need to be flipped. But this one piece needs, and it doesn't matter. It can show up looking like a lot of different ways. It can look at like they can be on the same row like this, which is where mine do because I forced them, or they can be 2 on the same edge, where this one wants to be here, this one wants to be here, or they can be on different faces even, where this one wants to be here, this one wants to be here. It doesn't matter. Anytime there's a parody, the parody is always caused by one thing. And let me show you. I'm going to create a parody. I'm going to. I made a quarter turn, and now I'm going to make that quarter turn look correct. That's going to give me a parody. And once I do that, I can make that parody look like different things. That parody can show up as a corner parody or as any number of edge parodies, but it's still going to, okay. All right, so I have now, I'm solving my cube. As I'm solving my cube, moving along. I want this piece to go here. So Formula B is going to place this here. First column, second column, up, up, down, down. Move the cube so that the corners match. Put it in the direction it wants to go. Okay, so I have a parity. This piece wants to be here, this piece wants to be here. They ended up opposite each other just because of the way I solved the cube. They could have been on the same edge. They could have been anywhere, but as long as they could have been here and here, it doesn't matter. But as long as there's two and only two pieces that need to be flipped, need to be repositioned, you have what's called a parity. But a parity is a lie. There are no parities. It's a lie. What you need to do, because like I said, there will always be, because of the mathematics of the cube, there will always be three pieces, at least three pieces on the same layer to move. Now I can try to solve it if I don't know what I'm doing by using these two and this piece, but then that's just gonna give me another piece messed up. So whenever there's two, if you can only see two, the piece that you cannot see is literally the piece that you cannot see. You cannot see the inner workings of the cube. This layer right here, and it could be this row or this row. It doesn't matter. The row, the slice that touches the parity is 1/4 turn off in the middle. More correctly, it is an odd number of turns off from solve. If it were 2 off, then I would have what looks like, okay. Pretend this is a solve. This is a 3x3, and the outside edges are what the edges do. If you cannot have just 1/4 turn off and be able to solve that cube. It'll show up on a void cube. You can have a parity, and on large cubes you can have a parity. Now if I had it two corners off, then that would just be boxes. You know how to solve it. 1 move and 2 moves. So if you're an odd number of moves off, you're going to get a parity. If you're an even number of moves off, you won't. This is an odd number of moves off. So all I need to do to undo this parity is make this row turn this row 1/4 turn. And now, if you look at my edges, one piece is correct, and 1, 2, 3 of them are not, and we know how to move those 3. So, as I can go ahead and set these corners now. Formula B lines it up to the front. It's going in this direction. So first column, second column is going to place this here, up, up, down, down. Find a piece on top that doesn't belong there. Corners match the front. It's going in this direction. So first up, second up. Okay, and then it's going in this direction. Up, up, down, down. Set the top. My corners are now correct. My parity disappeared, and I can solve the edges, the centers, the way I want to, which is one of the reasons why I do the centers last instead of the reduction method, because I go to the corners, then the centers, and then corners, then the edges. And if I see a parity, I just make a 1/4 turn and fix it. I undo it. As I find it, and so I don't have to use a parity algorithm at the end. I said I'm somewhat familiar with the mathematics of that, but it's a cool way to think of it. Yes, if you have 2 pieces, there's always 3 pieces. If you only see 2, move the piece that you can't see, and then try again, and you will undo your parity. So now and again, when you do that 1/4 slice to undo the parity, if your centers are solved, you're going to have to reset them. This is why, like I said, I don't usually have my centers solved yet. So now I can solve the centers. So parities are always a lie. One quarter turn of a slice, and the parity dissolves, and you don't have to worry about it. Which is why I can teach this method in only 2 1-hour sessions, because A and B is literally all you have to memorize. You don't have to memorize. Oh, it's like, oh, and if on the 50% chance you get this happen, then you have to learn this algorithm if it looks like this, and this algorithm if it looks like this, and this algorithm. Nope. Just 1/4 turn, and it undoes it. It works on every parity. Every single parity is, you have the inner row that touches that parity is an odd number of terms off. It doesn't matter you don't have to know which way it's off. Just make the 1/4 turn on the slice that touches the parity. Works on my 10 by 10. This is a 7, 1, 2, 3. This works on a 7 by 7. Works on 10. Any parity, no matter where it is, any parity. The slice that the parity appears on is 1/4 turn off. Make that 1/4 turn. Solve again. The parity is gone. Absolutely every parity. Doesn't matter whether there's these two or these two or these two or these two. It doesn't matter. If there's 2 and only 2 pieces on the same layer, by layer I mean like if it were a color thing, you know, because this piece can it has to be where that piece can land. Works on every parity. Every parity is 1 single quarter turn off. Do it. Try it and get back to me, and then tell me how. So yeah, that's why I just 2 hours, and they can solve. Everybody can pick up any cube. What's fun about this is that what I have found dealing with the cubing community, because it's been around for so long, people take breaks from the cubing and they put it down and they come back, and then it's possible to forget some of your algorithms, or to forget. Hi, kitty. Cat! Say hello to Fluffer Bunny. This is Fluffer Bunny. Hi, cutie. Hi, baby. Hi. Is you so pretty? Is you so pretty? Cat. Okay, go. Okay, shoo. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Go. Run, hide, be safe, be free. So cubers, most people memorize dozens to hundreds of algorithms. And like I said, you have to memorize, not only do you have to memorize the algorithm, you have to memorize which algorithm does which thing. Because, and then you have to memorize in which order to do which algorithm, so that you're not messing up the things that you've already done. Gin and tonic. You have 2 cats. That's so cute. Gin and tonic. My son got 2 cats and named them Bruce and Clark. So one was all black, like Batman, and one was, made it a bit embarrassing. Oh, I love you. Okay, so I got distracted. What was I saying? So I do the corners, because every corners and the edges. Keep at it. New methods are always great. I published this on speedsolving.com and on abcube.how in 2020. But if you go, you can find me on Speed Solving. I also have a YouTube page. If you go to my bio here at Wix, at Twitch, you can find me. I am also on Wikipedia. If you go to Wikipedia and look for the Professor's Cube, which is what the 5x5 was originally called, the Professor's Cube, go down to solutions. I'm the last paragraph on that page, because there's like 6 methods specifically for solving the 5x5, and mine's the only beginner's method for doing that. So, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Cubers cube for a while, and then they put it down, and then they get to where it's like, oh, how do I do this last thing? I don't remember how to do this last thing. And they'll put the cube down. And anyone that I've taught can just pick it up, solve that piece, and put it down. And in the mind of the cuber, they're like, wow. Humans generally assume that other humans are like them. They've learned the same way, they've done the same things. So a cuber would look at my student and think, you've learned everything that I've learned, and you've remembered everything that I've forgotten. You must... the old, if you can do a cube, you must be a genius thing that's been around since the 80s. So the thing is that you don't have to memorize it. So I can look, anyway, my student can look really smart by picking up and doing the last step that someone else has forgotten. So I agree, new methods are always great. And I had a lot of fun doing this. It took me 5 years to write the first manuscript. Because I'd get it down, and then I'd say, go to a non-cuber and say, here's a cube, here's my book, tell me where you get confused. And they would say, well, I did okay until this is kind of, I don't know what this means. And I'd take it back and I'd rewrite the book to correct it, and I'd find a new person, here's my cube, here's a here's a cube, here's my book, tell me where you get confused. And so I did that for... All right, go have a wonderful day. I'll be back here. I'm back here every weekday morning and Saturday mornings and Friday evenings. So, go have a fun day. Everyone else, you guys, I'm going to head off too. It's been a wonderful morning. I got to go get ready for my physical therapy. And go have fun with your cubes. Go be nice to each other, drink your water. And I will be back here tomorrow. Bye, you guys.